So ladies, I titled this devotion, The Voice, and it's taken from 1 John chapter 2, verse 27. And this is a verse that I had overlooked, but here it is. But you have received the Holy Spirit, and He lives within you. So you don't need anyone to teach you what is true. For the Spirit teaches you everything you need to know, and what He teaches is true. It is not a lie. So just as He has taught you, remain in fellowship with Christ. You know what this verse reminds me of? It reminds me of what happened in 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 12, where in the previous scene, Elijah had the biggest victory of his entire career, I believe, which was, of course, on top of Mount Carmel, where he showed all the prophets of Baal for the false individuals that they were, and he did it in front of King Ahab and all of his officials. Remember that, when he called down fire on the altar? And in the next scene, however, Elijah is running for his life. He goes to a distant place and he's crying out for God's direction. And so there's this big wind, fire, rain, earthquake, all of this stuff. And the point that's made is that God isn't in any of those things. Now, we would expect God to be in all the big things, right? But He's not. He's in the gentle whisper alluded to in verse 12 of 1 Kings 19. And what you see here in 1 John chapter 2, verse 27, all right, I'm tying them together, is that very thing. It's the still, small voice of the Lord. The still, small voice of the Lord that we have in our heart, that all true believers have, if they would just listen to it. And so the practical application of this devotion that I give both of you, and this is a short one today, is that you may find yourselves in situations in your lives where, for whatever the reason, it just doesn't feel right. Everybody around you, even people in your church, are telling you that everything's fine, that what you're doing is right, that the situation you're in is right. And when you get that feeling, it's my advice to you to trust it. It may in fact be the still small voice of the Lord, or the Holy Spirit that's talked about in 1 John chapter 2. So once you cut through all the vox populi and the realpolitiking and all the socializing nonsense, learn to trust that voice. God bless you both.